Okay, hello everybody. Yes, this is Gran Turismo Concept. Gran Turismo Concept 2002 Tokyo Geneva to be exact. There was several concept games that was released. This was one of them. Course license any percent is pretty simple. There's 10 courses altogether, 10 different cars, and we're going to go as fast as possible. So if we're ready to go on the timer, we're ready?
Is that loud enough for you as well?
I mean, if you're ready, I am.
Yeah. Can you hear the game?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Everybody in chat, is that loud enough? If it's too loud, let me know and I will change things. Anyway, give me a countdown and let me know when you want the timer to start.
Cool. Okay, right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so we're going to start from that one in particular. And basically, like I said, the main idea of course licenses, for those that don't know, or the way that licenses work, are essentially you do a lap or a point-to-point or something like that. So the first one we've got to do is Midfield Raceway. Now I'm just going to quickly start off by saying there's only 5 tracks in the concept version. However, there is actually a few other things as well to note. So you've got, for example, you have Midfield Raceway and its reverse layout. You have Autumn Ring and its reverse layout. You have Tahiti Maze and its reverse layout. And you also have the Swiss Alps, again, with its reverse layout, as well as Tokyo Route 246. Now, first things first, the cars that we're drawing are going to be a variety. Some of these will be concept cars, some will be completely different. Nice start, we're already spinning, why not? Now, one thing I can actually get going through as we get going is that this game's a lot more lean than you might think. So, for example, in a normal Gran Turismo game, you're able to spin out. However, should I do that in a normal Gran Turismo game, that would immediately fail me. However, in this one, we don't fail. We can cut corners and everything. For some reason, and again, maybe to make this more open to players, was the fact that they decided, you know what, why don't we just allow you to cut corners like this? And because of that, that's how you're able to do the times you can do. Now, I am going to be trying to aim for gold. Obviously, we've already spun, so we're not going to be getting gold in this one. But we will be able to beat all 10 back to back, and the minimum we need is a bronze. So if you see at the top corner, you'll see that we have a gold, a silver, and a bronze. The gold is what we're going to aim for. Obviously, if I don't, then obviously that is a skill issue. But anyhow, so yeah, the first car that we drove there was the Mercedes-Benz SL500. Next one we get to drive is the Ford GT40 LM, or Le Mans edition. This thing is actually one of the fastest cars in the entire game. Granted, in terms of how many cars are in this game, there's not that many. So I think it's like in a regular Gran Turismo, you're looking at anywhere between something around maybe, I don't know, 75 to 200 cars, give or take. Obviously, it depends depending on the game that you play. In the concept one, though, it has, I think it's about 25 to 30, which isn't much, but given the fact that there is literally 5 circuits, each with a layout alteration, with them being in reverse. Also, yeah, you can wall ride on the corners if you wish to do so, because apparently that's a thing in this game. The other thing you may notice as well is the cars do slide out a hell of a bit, but that is mainly because of the fact that, unlike in other Gran Turismo games where the traction control, anti-lock brakes and everything was already turned on by default, in this game they decided you can either have them all turned on or have them all turned off. Now, I've got them all turned off, hence the reason why it's probably a bit more challenging. But for the most part, again, the run is very self-explanatory, it's not too different. The one thing I will definitely mention, and I said briefly at the start, that there is different bits and pieces. Nice, this car loves to spin for some reason. Okay, get going. So aside from the spin, so there's 3 different concept games. There is Gran Turismo Concept 2002 Tokyo Geneva, which is this one, which has a variety of cars that are mixed in from the Tokyo Car Show, I think it was, of 2001, and also the Geneva one as well that happened the same year. There is I think it's 2001 Tokyo, which is all the cars taken from 2001's Tokyo. And then you have other ones as well. I think there is a Seoul one, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's in Korea. So there is a Korean version of this game as well. So some of these cars as well, it's an interesting one really, because the concept is essentially Gran Turismo 3.5. So Gran Turismo 3 had all these tracks. This is the, I mean, I think Autumn Ring's the only one that Gran Turismo 3 didn't have that's in this. But pretty much all of the cars that are in this game, as far as I'm aware, were never in the original Gran Turismo 3 game. So these are all cars that got introduced in Gran Turismo 4. However, if you played the concept games, then obviously what did you get? You got, well, the Gran Turismo 4 cars about 2-3 years early. Given the fact that Gran Turismo 4 came out in 2005, yeah, this was 2002, so you got these cars 3 years earlier than expected. And to be honest, I mean, granted, yeah, it's a PS2 game, and say what you will, by the way, about a PS2 game. But genuinely speaking, it's not too bad. Like, everything works out quite well, which is pretty damn good. But yeah, should be interesting enough. Also interesting how, I don't know if that's the cable or what, but yeah, apparently my game just decided, ooh, put it in reverse, because why not? Apparently so. Would be nice if the car went. Let's try that. I think I might be leaning on the controller too hard. There we go. So, like I said, all we've got to do is aim for the bronze time on every single one, and that is exactly what we're going to do. Again, there's not any particular rush. There are some that are worse to get than others. But honestly, judging by the feel of it, it's not too bad, so should be nice and easy. So what's the next one we've got? I think it is Tahiti Maze, which is quite interesting, because we do have one in particular. So we have the Hyundai Accent Rally car, and this is a car, again, that was introduced in Gran Turismo 4. It was not in Gran Turismo 3. And as well, one thing I haven't really mentioned yet is the fact that, well, here's the thing. So, for some reason, between the Gran Turismo games and during most Gran Turismo games, they tended to do their best to avoid licensing. So you'll tend to find that in, like, I don't know, say Gran Turismo 3, for example, Tommi Mäkinen's Mitsubishi Lancer Evos, they're in there, but you won't have Tommi Mäkinen's name or anything. In this game, there was like, yeah, gloves are off, we're just going to import the actual WRC cars with the drivers' names and everything. So this is the official Hyundai rally car. I think it's I want to say 2001 season? I'm not quite sure who drove it. I think it's Juha Kankkunen that drove this one. I think it's number 17, judging by the number on the back. But I think there was Alistair McRae drove it in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a bit of rally trivia for you. But in terms of, like I said, in terms of the actual licensing, things like that, obviously there was like, okay, we need to make sure that we don't get in trouble for this. And in Gran Turismo games, like I said, for those that are unaware, or for those that played them may have never noticed, and immediately I spin around, but that's fine because we're off-roading anyway, is the fact that in terms of the, like I said, copyright infringement, you've obviously got supercars and things like that, and they all have their exclusive copyrights. Which is interesting, really, considering if you play one of the latest Gran Turismos, I think Gran Turismo 7, or even Gran Turismo Sport, which I think is now officially dead in the water. But if you play one of those, you'll probably notice that there are certain car manufacturers that are no longer in it. That's not just because of the fact that that manufacturer has stopped making cars, but also because of the fact that copyright licenses run out, music licenses run out, and things like that. And that's like one of the main reasons why certain games might get delisted or something might happen. Also, we've got our first silver. Let's get going. Nice. Ideally, without it trying to go back on me there. Very nice. So that is the fourth one altogether, which is all good. So we move on to Autumn Ring. Now, Autumn Ring's an interesting one. You'll notice as well that we have the pace car. I've not even mentioned this yet. It was right at the start of the run as well. So this is one of the concept games anyway, are one of the rare times that we actually had a pace car in a Gran Turismo game. So Gran Turismo 4, for those that don't know, I know this is kind of skipping ahead in terms of Gran Turismo, but if you played Gran Turismo 4, you may remember that some licenses did actually have certain bits and pieces, like, for example, I mean, obviously, granted, we're not really supposed to do this, but the game doesn't stop us, so of course we're going to corner cut. Like, why not? Because, yeah, this game does allow us to do that. But, yeah, the pace car was something that was mainly in Gran Turismo 4 licenses, it wasn't really a thing in the original 2 games or in the 3rd game. And believe it or not, as I said before, this is where basically Polyphony makes the games. I think they used, in my personal view, they used these concept games to test new cars, but also tracks that may have been used before but not been seen for a game or two, and obviously new ideas such as the pace car, because I'm pretty sure there's probably somewhere in Polyphony's history where they were supposed to use, they were supposed to use pace cars and things like that, but it's like, no, we're not going to use that, we'll just implement it in the licenses, in the concept games. This game also, in case I definitely have not mentioned this yet, this game actually holds birth to, well, actually the concept games of Gran Turismo, they hold birth to 2 memes in particular. One of them is the Yellow Evo, which came out in the Gran Turismo, oh, we got a gold, nice. But we had, I think it was, what was it, the Gran Turismo 2000 demo, which was essentially Gran Turismo 3's concept before the game actually came out, which is really good. And that had this Yellow Evo. You played it for about, I think you had a time limit of 120 seconds or 150 seconds or something. Not very long. And then when the timer ran out, basically the game just shut down, and that was kind of the end of that. So that holds birth to one of them. But this game also holds birth to the other one. So one of the cars that's in this game is called the Toyota Pod, and it was supposed to be a car of the future. How many times have you heard them words before? Car of the future. So yeah, the Toyota Pod was essentially a box-looking car. I don't have a clue. It had a tail on it, so it was supposed to be like a pet or something. It was weird. I mean, I want to say only Toyota and the Japanese could come up with such a thing like that. But yeah, there was a few, I mean, to be fair, Citroen tried an attempt a few years later where, I think it was famously on Top Gear, where it changed the scent of the car depending on what mood you were in. Again, thank God that didn't actually take off, because I can't imagine getting in a car and it'd be like, oh yeah, what does angry smell like? Yeah, no thanks. I can't even imagine. So yeah, so as I said, some of these cars, actually no, all, I meant to say, all of the cars that you'll see were cars that were mainly introduced in Gran Turismo 4. So this, for example, is the, if I can get there it is, so it's the Audi, I think it's the ABT TT-R or something like that. It's a DTM car, and yeah, it was famously used in the German touring car season. So you may notice already that we're already onto the reverse layouts. So we've already done Midfield Raceway, so our next one is Tokyo, I believe, and this is a NSX-R prototype. But yeah, interesting bit of kit. Again, a lot of these cars are interesting because of the fact that there are some cars in this game that, as I said before, there was 3 different concept games. There was Tokyo Geneva, which is the most up-to-date one that's got all of the content. The main difference between this one, 2001 Tokyo, and I think it was 2001 or 2002 Tokyo Seoul, I think it was, or Geneva Seoul or something like that, was the fact that the car list changed a little bit. So like certain cars weren't released or weren't really known about. So because of that, you had cars that just weren't there. Obviously, it can't be in a video game if they don't exist yet. So yeah, it's the, as I said, this is probably like the most complete version of the concept games. But this is another thing as well. Like, obviously games have demos and things like that. Gran Turismo doesn't really have a demo thing anymore, or a concept version anymore. They kind of scrapped it after, I think it was after the 5th game. Because for those that weren't sure or were unaware, essentially the way concept games went, they came and went, demo disc came and went. But here's the thing. So in terms of concept games, it went from concept to prologue. So if you think about when Gran Turismo, as I said, this is the weird catch. So they made all these concept games, like I said, 2001, 2002, after Gran Turismo 3. And obviously Gran Turismo 4 wasn't released until 2005. I mean, we didn't know that, but back in 2005, they released Gran Turismo 5, and it was like, okay, you need something to fill the gap. Introducing Gran Turismo 4 Prologue, essentially it was a interesting hybrid mix between the concept game and Gran Turismo 4. So The graphics were slightly more enhanced, they were more up to Gran Turismo 4 standards. The HUD was a bit different, but similar to what we've got at the moment. And yeah, it just kind of went from there, really. Also, that is Tokyo reversed, on which I believe puts me at either Swiss Alps or Tahiti Maze. I will be honest, one of the very last time trials in this game, which you'll see, so it is Tahiti Maze, okay, it is Swiss Alps, sorry, is the fact that when you get to Autumn Ring 2, they introduced the Nissan GTR concept. The Nissan GTR was a car that released in 2007, I believe, its first model, at the very first model. However, the concept was around in the early 2000s, supposedly 2001. You've got to bear in mind something here, and this is a big, interesting point, is the Nissan GTR, the R34 to be exact, it came out in 1999. Bear in mind, it was another 8 years before the GTR or R35 came out. So because of that, the concept obviously started early. And it feels weird when you tell someone, oh hey, you know the Nissan GTR? Yeah. Did you know that that car was originally conceived 23 years ago? And it's like, no. It's like, yep, it was, and here's proof. And weirdly enough, for me, in terms of all the concept cars in the world, if I'm being completely honest, and again, this might sound a bit stupid, but for me, the Gran Turismo concept games were my way of seeing what concept cars can do. There is also something, kind of moving back on topic of Gran Turismo, the game itself, because I haven't really talked about the game for a little bit, much, is the fact that in Gran Turismo 3, it's less of a thing in Gran Turismo 4. But in Gran Turismo 3 and the concept, we use a gear trick. Now the faster the cars go, the less this trick works. But basically you hit the reverse and gear up button at the same time. Now obviously I'm going to play this one safe, but you can do that, and what that essentially allows you to do is, well, basically as you're going between gears, the car keeps accelerating slowly, so it's like you don't really lose too much speed, which is pretty cool. So next one is Tahiti Maze 2. Now these, again, this is something that was in Gran Turismo 3. So out of all of the races that are in this, Autumn Ring and Autumn Ring 2 are the only circuits that are not in. They are not in Gran Turismo 3. But all the rest of them, so Tahiti Maze 1 and 2, they all are. Now, I will be honest, Tahiti Maze with this car is a bit of a pain, but again, we'll make it, it's fine. And we've got, like, as you can see as well, judging by the time on the right hand side, 223 is extremely lenient, like very, very lenient. There is actually I think it's in Tokyo Seoul or something like that, the course licenses are way easier to get gold on, because for some reason when they made that game, it was like, oh yeah, we believe people aren't going to get this and things like that. So yeah, the concept games do work in emulator as well, so they're not just a console thing. So if you, like I say, if you've got, I think it's PCSX2, which is one of the more popular PlayStation 2 emulators, feel free to give it a try. We do actually have the leaderboard split between console and emulator. So yeah, like I said, feel free to give it a try if it's something that you'd be interested in. Again, it is a very simple run to do. The main time save above everything else is just to drive fast. And yeah, I know, it's a racing game, ooh, that's the main point, but it is genuinely the whole point, and the whole reason that you can bring the time down. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head what the record is for console or emulator, but I do know a guy called, I think it's D4, holds the record for them both, who put in such a lot of time and effort. And we also found something out, and I think he mainly found it, was the fact that after you finish one of the circuit laps, so after you finish a license test, because that's what these essentially are, you'll notice that the name thing comes up a few times. What we discovered was if you set that fast of a lap time, like 10 times over to fill the top 10 slots, whenever you cross the line like this, and you go to that, you will never get that screen pop up, so it won't actually waste you any time, because it'll go straight back to that screen with a course license test. Also, we are on the last one. Now, the last one is very, very tricky, so we have about a minute and a half left, but yeah, we've got a loading screen stuff, but time will be coming up once we cross the final finish line for this. So this is the GTR concept, and the gears on this thing, it's really weird. Like they go up like so easily, it's insane. And it also loves to slide for some reason. I think it's very heavy on the back end of the car. Like the weight distribution seems to be very tail heavy. So it means that when you put your foot down and when you try to power, let's just say when you try to make a corner, this happens. So you can make it slide if you want. Tokyo Drift, why not? So it doesn't, like I said, for a car itself, in my personal view, I mean, I'm quite a big fan of the Nissan GTR, but I hate the concept. I don't know why, but not a big fan of it at all. So yeah, about halfway through, nice and easy. But you can see what I mean by the car sliding all the time. It just loves to slide. And the thing is as well is like you can't change tyres or anything. You can change, I think you can change maybe the traction control settings and things, but that's about it. Also, we're going to cut a few more corners here because again, in Gran Turismo normally you're not allowed to do this, but in this concept the game's like, yeah, why not? If we're ready on time will be coming up in about 5 seconds, so we cross the line. And time. Nice. 2031, not too bad. It was a silver as well, not quite gold, but we're fine. That's the whole point of the any percent as well. So as I said, the any percent is the fact that what you'll be doing is you'll be trying to get bronze every single time. And then I'll just kind of, I don't want to do it again, no. Is that whilst the, like, you've got the course license 8%, like I said, that involves getting anything from bronze or above. However, if you decide that you want to go to the next step and you want to do the gold, then you can do. There are prizes in this game. I've not really mentioned the progression, but how the game works. Every single license test has a reward for beating it on the bronze difficulty and one for beating it on the gold. You don't get anything for silver. Unless it's your first time, then you obviously get a car because you beat it at bronze or higher. All of the races have 2 difficulties, and obviously they all give you a car. And as well, one other thing as well is you get rewards the further you go through the game. One of which is to give you, I think it's 10 million credits in Gran Turismo 3. Another one is to give you the credits. One is to do you can drive the Toyota Pod to do a race, which is interesting to say the least. I'm not sure what the other one is, but you're able to basically like gain a little bit from this. We actually considered introducing at one point anyway for Gran Turismo 3 to have the 10 million credits you get from this game part of the any percent, because like you'll be able to buy like loads of fast cars straight off the bat. But obviously we've not allowed that. I'm just saying like that was an idea that was thrown around a little bit. But yeah, that is, like I said, that is Gran Turismo Concept 2002 Tokyo Geneva, or Gran Turismo Concept as it's now on speedrun.com. Like I said, feel free to give this a try if you're a racing fanatic. There's plenty of cars in there. And like I said, plenty of progression as well for those that might be interested. This isn't a game that takes you 6 hours to beat or 50 hours or whatever Gran Turismo games take. You could probably beat this in like 2 or 3 hours at most, like even the gold licenses as well. But yeah, that's about it, and I'll hand it back over to Sim.
Thank you very much for that run. We didn't have any new donations in during that run, but don't forget everyone, we are of course doing this as a charity event for everyone can. If you would like to donate, I will post a link in the chat for you all, because our bot's currently on strike. So the donation link is right there, subject to the terms and conditions which are listed on the donation page. The donations go to everyone can as well. If you would like to join us live here, because we are of course doing this as an on-site-ish hybrid event, we are broadcasting live at the Explore Science Discovery Centre. We now have ourselves a little audience. Give ourselves a wave, audience. Hey. So we got a little audience here now at the Explore Science Discovery Centre as well. So if you would like to come and watch live, then be sure to come by if you're local to Wrexham. Or if you just want to come by for a visit, it's absolutely fine. We're in the globally known Wrexham nowadays, I guess, because thanks to Ryan Reynolds buying the football club. Anyway, we're going to go over to our next run now, which is going to be the Mancunian Nightmare. Is going to come back with a Resident Evil themed Nemesis 80% FRNG run. That's going to take place in about 5-10 minutes time. We'll go over to the intermission, play some music for you all, and we'll go over now to the next run. So thank you, Viper. Do you have any last things you'd like to say before we finish?
No, really. I think I've talked enough.
That's fine, no problem. Thank you very much for taking part, and we'll see you in about an hour's time because you have another run with us in a minute.
I do.
Wonderful. Right.